Okay, 5th grade, so we're going to be continuing with Code Combat Computer Science Course 2, and we're up to 5A now. We're going to be using if statements, and this is similar to what we did with Code.org and Scratch. So in Code.org, we've done if the path is to the left, move left, right? So that's an if. It's an if then. If the path's to the left, then you go to the left. In Scratch, we did if touching, sprite 3, then stop all. Or if touching this color, lose a point. So an if statement is going to have an if then. It's going to tell the computer do this if this happens. Let's take a look at the level here. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to use our if-then statements, okay? So if there's an enemy, what are you going to do if there's an enemy? And we see we have the yellow arrow here. We're going to put hero attack, and they want 2 attacks, okay? So hero attack, you do enter, and you hero attack. And make sure you tab over. You tab over so that it's not on this side, it's over here. So if there's an enemy, hero attacks. Now we're going to scroll down to here. It says use an if statement to check if there's an enemy by. So we have to do what they did up here. You see they did if enemy up there? We have to do it here. If, E-N-E-M-Y, and then you do your colon. If enemy. What do you want to do if there's an enemy? Hero attack. And then at this point you got a tab, okay? So I click tab to go over. So click tab on the keyboard, hero attack. Okay? So if there's an enemy, hero attack, hero attack. Now this one here, you have to find the nearest enemy. Okay, so you got to find the nearest enemy. So that's going to be this one, find the nearest enemy. So here's how we're going to do it. Enemy space equals space hero find nearest enemy. Okay, so we got that. Now we have to check if the enemy exists. Okay, so let's check to see if the enemy exists. We're going to have to say if, like we did up here. See, it says up here, use an if statement to check if an enemy exists. Same thing down here. If, E-N-E-M-Y, and then we do our colon. Then you go down hero attack, and you're gonna say enter, enter, hero attack. Okay, so here's what our code's saying. Let's look through it. So first, the hero is gonna move, and these are the coordinates. It's going to be over to here, 24, 42. And it's going to say, if there's an enemy, attack 2 times. Then the hero moves to here, 27, 60. 27, 60. It says, if there's an enemy, 2 times attack. Then the hero moves here, 43, 42, 50. And if there's an enemy, attack. Okay, so over here, then we have find the nearest enemy. And I'm going to put enemy equals hero find nearest enemy. And then again, here's our if statement. If there's an enemy, attack, attack. Let's take a look. Two times attack if there's an enemy. Now he moves. Okay, that was a good one. Now we're going to use our if statements again. And if there's an enemy, we're going to attack. So let's take a look at this one. Now we have while true, our while true loop. If there's an enemy, attack. So what are we going to put over here? If there's an enemy, we have to attack it. Okay, so hero dot attack. Okay, got it. If there's an enemy, attack. If there's an enemy, attack. Okay, if there's an enemy, attack. Okay, if there's an enemy, attack. If there's an enemy, attack. Okay, now again we're going to use if statements. And now we're going to use hero find the nearest enemies. Let's take a look. We used this in the other one here. So we talked about this before if you want to find the nearest enemy. So let's take a look at this one here. Okay, so while true loop find nearest enemy. Okay, so find nearest enemy. If there's an enemy, what are you going to do? Hero attack. Okay, hero attack. Let's submit. Okay, and I'll just skip this. And that was a success. Okay, that was an easy one. Let's look at the next one. Okay, number 7. Okay, again, this is going to be another one. If there's an enemy, you're going to attack. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. So, again, if there's an enemy, attack it. Okay, so now they want us to write it in here for number 7. Okay, so we're going to say if enemy, and then you put your colon in, enemy, and then enter, and you see you got to tab over. So make sure you tab over hero attack. So if there's an enemy, hero attack. Okay, and that's a success. Go to the next one. Okay, this is 7A, Eagle Eye. Okay, let's take a look at this one. This is another if enemy. So this whole sections that we're doing is on if statements. So, you know, if there's an enemy attack in Scratch, if touching sprite 3, you know, stop all in code.org. If the path is to the left, turn left. So these are all if statements that we're doing because if statements can help us with our code. Okay? Okay, so this is another one where we're going to have to say if there's an enemy attack. Okay, so let's take a look. Let me pause this so this doesn't distract us. Okay, so let's take a look. So first thing we have to say is if, and then enemy, and then colon. If enemy, what are you going to do if there's an enemy? Well, the hero is going to attack, and the hero is going to attack the enemy. They put that in there for us. Okay, if there's an enemy, attack it. If enemy, hero, attack enemy. Let's submit. Okay, so now we're on to number 8, and this is another if statement, and we're going to say if enemy, and colon. What are you going to do if there's an enemy? Hero attack. Okay, hero attack, and you have to make sure that you spell everything correct. So sometimes it's good to check. E-N-E-M. Nope, I got to take that E out. Okay, so if you ever have a spelling error, the code's not going to work. So make sure you spell everything right. Okay, so hero attack enemy, E-N-E-M-Y, hero attack E-N. Okay, submit, and I'll skip it. Okay, so always make sure to check your spelling. Okay, now we're on to number 9, and here we have to be more specific. So in the past we would say, you know, attack enemy. Now we're going to say left enemy and right enemy. So let's look at the code. And what they did is they set it up for us that the left enemy is an example. We don't have to do anything with the left, and then we have to do the right. So let's look at how they did it. So they say this is the loop while true. So this is our while true loop. Hero is going to move over here to 35, 34. And if there's an enemy, attack enemy 2 times. Okay, now they want us to move to the right entrance. So here's the right entrance. Okay, 60, 31. Hero move to 60 and 31. 60 and 31. Okay, remember we did that in the other section? We just look at the X and the Y on the coordinate plane, and we did that a little in Scratch too. Now we have to find the nearest enemy again. Okay, so let's find the nearest enemy. Here's how we do it. We're going to put right, and then you got to put a capital E-N-E-M-Y. Okay, so right, and then a capital enemy, space, equals, equals, hero, find nearest enemy. Okay, so you see how I did that? I put my move in, hero move 60, 31, and then I put I put right enemy equals hero find nearest enemy. Now the next thing we have to do, we have to say, what are you going to do if there's an enemy? Now, remember we did this if enemy. Now we're not going to do if enemy. Now we have to do if right enemy. Oh, gotta spell it right. Okay, so make sure you always spell it right. So if right enemy, right? See right enemy, I gotta spell it right. Make sure I do everything exactly like I did. If right enemy, and then I do my colon, and I do enter. And make sure you're not on this side. You have to do tab. You have to be right under it. Hero attack. Now here's where it gets tricky. We can't just do hero attack anymore. Who do we want to attack? We don't want to attack the enemy. We want to attack the right enemy. And they're going to be tough on us. They want us to have a capital E there. Why do we have to have a capital E? Because it's got to look exactly like this. Okay, so if you have a lowercase e or you spell something wrong, it's not going to work. And again, hero dot attack. And remember, we can't put enemy anymore. They want us to put right enemy. Right, and then enemy. Okay, so let's look at our code again. While true, he's going to move this way. And then if there's an enemy, he's going to attack the enemy 2 times. Then he moves over here to 60, 31. Okay, and then you're going to say like this, find the right enemy. You got to find the nearest enemy. That's this code. And then if there's a right enemy, attack 2 times. and let you, oh, I didn't spell this right. So you have to make sure you spell everything right. If you don't spell it right, the code doesn't work. So you always make sure you spell everything exactly correct. Click submit. Now there's left enemy attack, there's a right enemy attack. So it's finding the nearest enemy. Okay, now we're on to number 10. And what we have to do is we have to talk about location in this one. And we're going to be building a fire trap in this one. So they gave us an example in the top here. So here's while true, and this is our loop. So the hero is going to move to 4350. Let's find 4350. Okay, the hero is going to move there, 4350. And this is the top here. Okay, it says top equal hero find nearest enemy. And if at the top, so it's going to say if the hero is at the top, build a fire trap. And this is the location, 4350. Okay, now the hero is going to move to 2534, which is down here, 2534. Okay, and left equals hero finds nearest enemy. Okay, so if we type in left, it means the hero is going to find the nearest enemy. So let's look over here. We have to do the if statement. If left. If left. And what are we going to do if there's left? Well, what do we do up here? If it was at the top, we built a fire trap. Okay? So they want us on the top to build a fire trap, and then on the left, we have to build a fire trap. So if left, what are we going to do if left? Hero, build. And we're not going to call it a fence. Okay? So we don't want him building a fence. What do we want him building? A fire trap. Okay? And you have to do it exactly like they do with the hyphen in between, okay? And where do we want him to build it? 2534. So make this 25 and 34. Let me just make sure I did that right. So where do we want to build him here? 2534. Good. Okay, so now he's going to move down here to 4320. Okay. Now what are we calling this? We're going to call this the bottom because it says set a variable for the bottom enemy. So we had the top, we had the left, now at the bottom. Okay, so how did we do this over here? We had left, we had top equals hero find nearest enemy, left equals hero find this nearest enemy. Let's call this bottom. Okay, we're going to say bottom. Bottom space equals hero find nearest enemy. Okay, so see how we do it? They do the first one for you up here, and then we have to do a little bit. So find nearest enemy, and then we're going to do our if. Down here, and you always do it where they tell you to do. So they want us to do it over here. So we do if bottom. Remember we used to do if enemy. Now we do if bottom. Why? Because they say bottom equals heroes find nearest enemy. So now we're doing it what they want. Okay, they want us to use bottom now instead of enemy. So if bottom. What does bottom represent? It's a variable for the hero finding the nearest enemy. So it's saying if he's at the bottom here, find the nearest enemy over here. Okay, and what are you going to do over there? What do they want us to do up here? They want us to build a fire trap. So we're going to do hero, and build XY. And we're not going to call it a fence. We're going to call it a fire trap. Okay? And what location do we want to do? We want to make it like this. 4220. Okay, so let's take a look. So now the hero goes on the top, but it's the fire trap at the bottom. Okay, so we have the top, and now it's in a loop. You see it's in a loop? It's in a loop. Find nearest enemy, put in the fire trap. And it's in a loop. Find nearest enemy, do the fire trap.